She didn't see him coming. A casually dressed black man walked into the luxury car dealership with a confident, calm stride. He looked out of place, wearing a simple hoodie and jeans among the gleaming luxury cars and sleek showrooms. The manager took one look at him and made her assumption. A man like him couldn't afford the high-end cars she sold. What happened next would leave her and everyone in the showroom stunned. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon, the showroom buzzing with the usual hum of polished glass and chrome. Emma Hale, the manager of the dealership, stood at the front desk reviewing some paperwork. Her sharp gaze scanned the floor, watching potential customers inspect the luxury cars. Business was steady, and today felt like any other day, until he walked in. A man in his late 30s entered the showroom. His appearance was in stark contrast to the polished, well-dressed clientele that typically walked through these doors. Malcolm Harris, a black man, was dressed casually: hoodie, jeans, sneakers. He looked around at the cars but didn't seem to have any particular destination in mind. Emma looked up and assessed him in an instant. This guy is out of place, she thought, watching him stand there, hands in his pockets, not showing the usual awe that most customers express when surrounded by the cars. He didn't look like someone who could afford the vehicles on display. After a moment, Emma walked toward him, her steps firm and confident. She wasn't used to being intimidated, and she certainly didn't like what she perceived as an interruption to the smooth flow of the dealership. "Can I help you, sir?" Emma asked with a polite but cold tone. Malcolm turned, meeting her gaze without hesitation. "I'm just browsing," he replied, his voice calm and collected. Emma's smile was almost too perfect. "We have some fantastic models. Let me know if you need any assistance." She watched as Malcolm walked past the luxury cars, his eyes scanning the showroom like he was looking for something specific. But Emma couldn't help herself. "I don't think you're really in the market for one of these cars," she said, attempting to be dismissive without sounding rude. "Maybe try one of those budget dealerships down the road. These cars are a bit much for someone dressed like you." Malcolm stopped in his tracks. The words hung in the air, cutting through the calm of the showroom.
Malcolm's expression didn't change. He slowly turned back to face Emma. "Excuse me?" Emma gave a tight-lipped smile, hoping to brush off the awkwardness. "Well, it's just these cars are for serious buyers. Maybe you'd prefer to try another place. We don't want to waste your time." Her words were dismissive, laced with the quiet arrogance of someone who assumed their position was above others. Malcolm's calmness was almost unnerving. "I'm serious," he replied, his voice low but steady, "and I don't appreciate being judged by my appearance." Emma didn't flinch. "I'm just trying to save you some time. It's obvious you're not ready to make such a big purchase." She looked at his attire, then back at the high-end sports cars. "Maybe look at something more affordable." Malcolm stood silently for a moment, his gaze unwavering. Emma watched as he slowly turned toward a gleaming silver Aston Martin near the back of the showroom, one of the dealership's most expensive cars. Emma took a deep breath and decided to press the issue. "Look, I'm sorry if this is awkward, but we have high-end clientele here. I'm not sure this is the place for someone like you." Malcolm turned back to face her. "I think you'll find this place is exactly where I need to be." Emma was about to speak again, but she was interrupted by the sound of footsteps. The door to the dealership opened once more, and in walked a man in a suit, tall, well-dressed, and with an air of authority. He looked at Malcolm, then at Emma. "Is there a problem here?" the man asked. Emma turned, slightly flustered. I was just telling this gentleman that perhaps he should consider another dealership. He doesn't seem to be in the right place." The man stepped forward and extended his hand to Malcolm. "Malcolm Horace, it's a pleasure to meet you," he said, a warm smile spreading across his face. Emma's face went pale. She froze, unable to comprehend what was happening. The man turned to Emma, his expression now hardening. "Emma, I think you've made a mistake." Emma looked at the man, confused. "Excuse me?" "This gentleman is the new owner of the dealership," the man said, his voice sharp with authority. "He's not just any customer. He's Malcolm Horace, the new owner." Emma's blood ran cold. She felt her stomach drop as the realization hit her. The casual black man she had dismissed, the one she had so carelessly judged, wasn't a random visitor. He was the one who had just bought the entire dealership.
"What?" Emma stammered, her face burning with embarrassment. Malcolm nodded, still calm. "That's right. I just bought this dealership. You were wrong about me, Emma." The man who had walked in with Malcolm, his business partner, Richard Walker, the former owner, stood quietly behind him, watching as Emma's world unraveled. Richard was a seasoned businessman and had decided to sell the dealership to Malcolm after being impressed by his vision and expertise in the industry. Emma stood in stunned silence, unsure how to react. I never thought I'd need to introduce myself to my employees like this," Malcolm continued, his voice steady. "But I think we've learned a valuable lesson today." Emma swallowed hard, trying to regain control of the situation. I didn't know. I'm sorry." Malcolm's face softened slightly. "I'm sure you didn't mean any harm, Emma, but that doesn't change what just happened. You treated me like I didn't belong here, and that's something I can't overlook." Richard turned to Emma, his expression grim. "I think it's best you pack up your things. You've made your decision, and now Malcolm and I have made ours." Emma's mind raced. She felt trapped in the consequences of her actions. As she stood frozen, unsure what to say, the weight of her prejudice settled heavily on her chest. The dealership she had worked at for years was no longer hers, and the man she had dismissed had just become her boss. As Emma packed her things, Malcolm watched silently. He didn't say anything, but his presence loomed over her, a quiet reminder of how wrong she had been. "I didn't expect things to go this way," he said softly, his voice no longer cold, but carrying a hint of disappointment. "You'll find the door. We don't need people like you anymore." Emma's throat tightened. She had no defense, no words that could undo the damage she had done. She left without a fight, knowing she had lost everything. As Emma walked out of the dealership, she looked back one last time. The showroom she had ruled for years now belonged to someone else, someone she had underestimated, someone who had just proven her wrong in the most public way possible. Inside, Malcolm and Richard discussed the future of the dealership. "We've got big plans, Richard. We're going to make this place thrive," Malcolm said with confidence. Richard smiled. "With you at the helm, I have no doubt." The next day, word spread through the dealership about the new ownership. Employees who had once been skeptical of Malcolm began to look at him differently. They had seen the way he handled the situation with Emma. He wasn't just a man with money. He was a man of character, someone who stood up for what was right. In the coming months, the dealership flourished under Malcolm's leadership. He didn't just manage the business, he made it a place where everyone felt respected, regardless of their background. His leadership was the beginning of a new era for the dealership. The story of Emma's dismissal spread through the local community, serving as a powerful reminder of how prejudice could be both toxic and costly. People who had once overlooked Malcolm for his appearance in casual attire now saw him for what he truly was, a visionary and a businessman. For Emma, it was a hard lesson learned.
She had made assumptions about the man who had walked into her dealership, and those assumptions cost her everything. The prejudice she had shown him was not just a personal failure. It was a failure of character that would haunt her for the rest of her life. As months passed, Emma reflected on her actions. She started working on herself, seeking out books, talking to people, and engaging in the kind of self-reflection she had once avoided. She began to realize that the way she had treated Malcolm wasn't just about him. It was about her own biases, her own failure to see people for who they truly were. In the end, Emma found a new job in another dealership, but she never forgot the lesson Malcolm had taught her. She had learned firsthand that prejudices could take years to build, but only moments to destroy. And that was a lesson she would carry with her for the rest of her life. What do you think of Malcolm's response to Emma's prejudice? How would you have handled the situation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.